Hi there, Facebook. This is Undisputed Live on Facebook Live. We are not on Fox Sports 1 today. We're preempted by the World Cup Draw Show. So, for the next hour or so, who knows how long we might go, commercial-free, we are going to be debating Cowboys-Redskins and Dak Cousins and whether Malcolm Jenkins sold out to the NFL. This guy's got some inside info on that. And finally, LeBron's night in Atlanta and his two quote-unquote epic blocks. Now, I need no introduction, obviously, but this is Shannon Sharpe. A lot of people don't know who Shannon Sharpe is. I think he was in the Hall of Fame. Joy Taylor has the day off today. We miss you, Joy. And yet, before we get started, how about them Cowboys? I'd hit this table harder, but I might knock everything off.
It's been a long time since you got a chance to say those words.
And I am so happy because, as everybody in the known world knows by now, my Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to borrow one of your expressions, beat the brakes off the arch rival Washington Redskins last night at Jerry World 38-14. So,
are they back?
To kick things off. That's a good question. I'm going to ask you that question, Mr. Sharpe. Are they back?
Well, look, you're not going to beat a team on the road if you turn the ball over 4 times. And the recipe for the Cowboys is simple, Skip, and it's been this formula since Dak arrived, since Zeke arrived. When they can run the football and minimize the amount of times that he's going to throw the ball, they can have success. Now, they got 4 turnovers. They ran the ball for 182 yards. Dak was 11 of 22, Skip. Really? 11 of 22 for 101 yards. So in the 2 games, he's thrown for 244 yards. They have 2 victories. But what do they have? They have almost 400 yards of rushing. They control the clock. Last night, 5 extra minutes time of possession. So that means that porous unit of yours, the defense, wasn't on the field as much as they normally were over the last 3 games. And voila, you get a victory. Crowder, the guy that you heap, I'll take Jason Crowder right now.
I would.
Costly turnover, interception, cost him an interception. He fumbled the ball. That's horrible. So he set them behind the 8 ball to begin with. But I'm going to give the Cowboys credit. They did what they needed to do. They got back to the recipe that made them successful all of last year. Run the football, control the clock, keep the defense off the field, and even without Sean Lee, they won. Who knew?
So how impressed on a scale of 0 to 10 was Shannon Sharpe?
I was impressed that they got back to the well, you know what? I shouldn't be impressed because I know this is the formula for them to win. 32 minutes time of possession. That means the other team doesn't have it that long. Well, they have a little over 33. When they don't have it that long, that means you're controlling the clock. 42 rushes. 42. Now, 42 rushes as opposed to 42 pass attempts are different because you're not going to complete 42 pass attempts. So the clock's going to stop. But when you run the ball, clock continue to run. Your defense is drinking Gatorade on the sideline. They're looking up the big jumbotron. Everybody's happy, kiki-keying. I know you were kiki-keying, you and Hazel. Y'all were kiki-keying. I know you did.
This is the best night I've had in a month.
Yo, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Oh, because it's not going to last long? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you're going to tell me you're going to run the ball 42 times again? You're going to get about 4.5 yards a clip? You're going to tell me that? Okay, yeah, you're going to win again. If that's the recipe you're going to use, that'll be a great dish being served.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's your turn.
I have one quick question for you.
Yes.
Ezekiel who? Who's that guy? Who's that?
Don't do that,
Ezekiel
Skip.
guy?
Don't
What's
do
his
that.
name?
Skip, don't do that.
I forget now. It's foggy. Oh, yeah, Elliott.
Yeah.
Ezekiel, remember him?
Yes.
Remember the guy you said they can't win without him? How did that happen last night?
Run the ball.
Alfred Morris?
Oh,
Who
yeah.
is Alfred Morris?
Yeah.
You keyed when I even brought up his name the first time. Am I right? And by the way, this man did pick the Washington Redskins to win fairly handily last night because you said my team was completely dead in the water. And I am warning you, we are not quite dead yet.
You gave up on them, though.
In the East I did. I've already congratulated. I already said victory parade for the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, I now need them more than ever. I picked them to win convincingly on Sunday night in Seattle, 30-14. That was my pick. You said it's going to be a close game. So I'm sure hoping I am righter than you are because I need them to beat the now 7-4 Seattle Seahawks to bring them back to the pack a little bit because it's a long shot, but it is a shot. and I got a really good, strong feeling that my team is going to win out and make your seat. It's really out there in the other studio. We're in a different studio, obviously, than Undisputed usually is on FS1, but that seat out there is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter on Monday after Monday after Monday, because here come the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to look right out of the box. I'm going to give you one big point. The Washington Redskins were decimated in their offensive line. It almost got to be laughable. I think they ended the game with all backups across the front. Yep. So should my pass rush have shown up last night for the first time in 4 games? Yeah, you realize they'd gone 30 possessions without a single sack. So the other team had the ball 30 straight times with no sacks. Finally, they did what they should have done against that line. So I'm going to give you that off the top. But I saw hope everywhere last night. I saw new. I saw things I have not seen for a month. I saw on offense and defense and special teams something I hadn't seen in a long time. I was shocked by it. I was amazed by it. And in the end, it was a spectacular turnaround from what you have been killing me on for the last 3 weeks, because they have been a hopeless mess. I think you would agree with that. And I'm going to throw out the Sean Lee. Remember, Sean Lee didn't play again last night. So Sean Lee hadn't played in 5 games this year so far. They were 0-5 in those 5. They finally won a game without Sean Lee. And in the second halves of those 5 games, they had been annihilated, my Cowboys defense, 114-22. Guess what happened last night? They won the second half. I couldn't even believe it. They won the second half 21-7. How is that possible?
Oh, so you mean to tell me the 21 came from Dak?
A lot of it came from Dak.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it did.
So he could score.
Okay.
So you keep mentioning that 22.
Well, I'm saying I saw new. So what happened? Let's start with the defense. I thought the night hinged more on the defense than even the offense, though it was a complete team victory, as cliched as that sounds. But let's start with the defense. What have I been saying all year to you? Awuzie. You have laughed. And I've been telling you, he tore his hamstring at Denver in that debacle up there at Mile High. The only moment in the sun your Broncos have had all year. Am I right?
No.
42-17. And I told you that was their Super Bowl, and now they have fallen into the bottom of the Rockies, right? They've fallen completely down the slope, and they are out. So my point is, after that game, Awuzie was gone. And last night, they put him in place of Anthony Brown, and it changed everything because he can actually cover. Was he not making plays in the first half?
Play.
Okay. And then this kid, Kayvon Frazier, he's a 5th-round pick out of Central Michigan. He can run and hit. And they stuck him in at safety finally and said, just play, just go. And what happened? Byron Jones, what have I told you? Remember the play that Aaron Rodgers made?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what is Byron Jones doing? Remember the throw? I thought it was just a pitch and catch, but it was like the play of the year in the National Football League that won the playoff game at Jerry World. So last night, Kayvon Frazier came up and made some big hits and brought new life to the defense. Anthony Hitchens sort of snapped out of it. Do you realize he had 15 tackles last night as the new Sean Lee? Maybe he's starting to figure it out. And then David Irving, he knocked Kirk Cousins. I admired Kirk Cousins for getting back up, but he hit him like an 18-wheeler hits a mini bus or something, right?
Yeah, VW bug.
He did. He hit a bug, and my God, he knocked him back. And again, Kirk Cousins got back up, but here came DeMarcus Lawrence Taylor. DeMarcus Lawrence Taylor had 2 more sacks. He leads the NFL in sacks, but he's been
beating them back up.
He's been beaten back. Okay, he beat the backups last night, but he did what he was supposed to do. And so the defense actually forced 4 turnovers. Special teams forced 1, but I'm going to give it to the defense. They had 4 sacks, and then you look at the big picture, that they just look like a real unit for the first time. They have been the worst defense by far in pro football for a month.
Well, this is what happens when you're able to control the clock. And I've said this is what happened for them last year. Zeke was able to control the clock. And when you can control the clock, the defense doesn't have to play as many snaps.
But I thought they controlled the clock for a long time, because I thought Kirk Cousins, remember, he threw for 449 at Jerry World last Thanksgiving, right?
Right.
So after Dak goes 3 and out on the first series. I thought, here we go. Just watch Kirk Cousins. He'll go boom, 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 boom down the field, and it'll be 7-0 Washington. But it wasn't, because the defense actually started making some plays, and it went back and forth, punt, 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 punt for a while until finally Dak drove in and broke through at 7-0.
But Skip, that interception that Crowder had was big. The fumble punt was huge.
Okay.
You can't, when you're on the road and you're already undermanned, you got to realize they're going out there with backups on their offensive line. And when you're on the road, you can't turn the football over. And they turned the football over. Give Alfred Morris and that offensive line credit. They ran the ball. They controlled the clock. And the reason why the Cowboys could jump off the ball like they were is because they did not respect Washington's run game. And when you can't run the football and you're on the road and they know you can't run, those guys are not playing the run. They're coming to the quarterback. And they got to Kirk. Give Kirk credit. I mean, he didn't play last night like I've seen him play leading up to last night.
Yep.
But I don't really know what you expect him to do when you're playing with backups to backups and the receivers are dropping the ball. But he has to do a better job of holding on to the ball himself. That one of the interceptions was Crowder. The other one, 4th down, it got tipped at the line of scrimmage. He got hit and he turned the football over. But they gave up a special teams touchdown. When the last time Dallas had a special teams touchdown?
I've been waiting for it all year, because I told you that little kid from North Carolina, that little Ryan Switzer, did that 7 times at North Carolina. And I told you when they drafted him, he will take a couple back to the house. And I've been waiting, and I had to wait, into 12 games. It took the 12th game, and he finally broke one, and it looked pretty sweet to me. It looked like a big-time punt return.
Well, the guy you've been criticizing, Dez, he came up big for you last night.
I'll get to that in just a second. I'll do the offense in just a second. But let's go first to the run game. Look, every quarterback obviously needs some run game, except for one, except for that guy.
And Rodgers.
I think Rodgers needs some. He's not in Tom Brady's.
Don't do that, Skip.
He's just not in his
I know
category.
you're happy. I know you're happy about last night.
He's not in his echelon. No, well, I'm serious.
Did you sleep last night? Did you go to sleep last night? You still happy, huh?
I am euphoric.
Yeah,
I never went to sleep.
Exactly.
It was one of the great nights in Cowboy history, given what the last 3 had been. But Alfred Morris, I told you, Alfred Morris, he is not Ezekiel Elliott, but he's pretty good.
Right.
Because he gives you, as Mike Shanahan, your former coach in Denver, told us on Undisputed, he will give you an honest day's work.
Yeah.
He will try hard. He will run hard. He will run with heart and guts. His instincts are good. He's a little slippery between the tackles. He can sort of juke and dart.
Well, you know what they did, Skip? They let him run the zone scheme. If you noticed, a lot of his runs were cut back. Zeke doesn't cut back like he does. He was getting he's pressing it, and then sometimes he was coming all the way back to the backside tackle gap. That's what he does. If you let him do what he does, I understand that this offense is really catered to what Zeke can do, because Zeke is very explosive. He can hit the hole and go. But Alfred Morris is more of a patient runner. He's more of a start one, put his foot in the dirt, and come downhill.
Right, and he didn't play. Well, he played with urgency last night, but he, if possible, if this isn't an oxymoron, he played with patient urgency.
Yes, he did.
It's almost like Zeke in his first couple of games last year as a rookie. He overran his blocks, and I thought Alfred Morris, starting in Atlanta, was trying to make so much happen. He would just run through the blocks before they happened.
Correct.
But I got to tell you, my offensive line, I wasn't even sure 3 of the studs were even going to play. But they all went, and they all returned last night.
Yeah,
that was the unit that I used to see. That was the unit I saw certainly for 11 straight games last year that they won. But early this year, I saw glimpses of it, but only glimpses. I saw 4 quarters of that unit last night. And obviously, Alfred Morris got loose for 127 yards, and what I did love was he had 38 yards in the first half, but he had 89 in the second half. So I give you that. That helped a lot. It helped kill the clock in the second half when Kirk Cousins started to get his feet underneath him, and they started to block it up a little bit and give him some time, because if you give him time, he can throw for 449 yards.
Well, that's what they need, and that was the thing, because what happened was, as Kirk drove down the field in 3 minutes, the Cowboys came back on the field, and you were hoping that the Washington's defense could get a quick 3 and out and get Kirk back on the field. But that offensive line took over the game and then methodically go all the way back down the field, and they get a touchdown. And for all intents and purposes, that's the ball game.
Okay. Now, to the opening of the game, the first series of the game for the Dallas Cowboys, they go Alfred Morris for a little, and all of a sudden it's 3rd and 8. And Dak drops back, and they showed it on NBC and the NFL Network. They showed what happened to the 4 receivers out in the pattern. They were all completely blanketed. And to Dak's credit, he hung in, and he went down. Sack. And what have I told you repeatedly? I don't know who can get open of those receivers unless you try to throw Dez open, because he doesn't separate. He wasn't really separating last night.
But the touchdown, he made a heck of a catch.
Heck of a catch.
He just
Finally,
that
was like good old days Dez, but that harked back to 2014 Dez, and I haven't seen it one time all year like that.
Nope.
So I saw a stat before the game, and I got to give credit to Bill Barnwell on ESPN.com. He's a film breakdown guy. You know, he gets deep second-level stats. And he said of all the wide receivers in the National Football League on throws of 25 yards or more targeted, deep, what you would call a deep throw, Dez Bryant had been targeted 29 times on what you would call deep throws. He had caught 5 of them, which ranked at the dead last bottom of the National Football League. So that's what you're up against. As you have said, he often looks like a broken down liability because he cannot outrun anybody, and he has a hard time separating on any of his, what's he run, like 3 different routes? What, in-cut, out-cut? I don't know. That's about all he does.
He'll run the slant. He'll run, and last night you saw him call it the over route, and then it's a back shoulder fade. Those are his 3 routes that he runs. And Skip, if you look at it, because he doesn't get separation, either the quarterback has to make a perfect throw or he has to make a spectacular catch. And that's what he made in the end zone. He did get the pass interference on Breeland, but that was Breeland's fault because Breeland was up in a press position and then he bailed. So what we call press bail, we call it opening the door. And I had a coach tell me, say, son, when you open the door, flies come in your house. Well, that's what happened. He opened the door and he got a pass interference because he let Dez get in front of him and he couldn't see the ball. So that's his fault. But give Dez credit. I've been very critical of his route running skills. I think he could have been better than what he is now. But he made plays last night, and that's what you need.
Okay, I got to quickly open this door for Shannon Sharpe. You realize that the best Redskins corner is this guy named Josh Norman. He used to be really good in Carolina. And he can be pretty good in Washington after he got his money. You realize that last night he did not travel. So on key plays, it became, why did Dak go over here? Because he had Dez on Breeland, but occasionally he had Dez on Josh, and he wouldn't go there.
I don't blame him.
He went there a couple of times, at least one key time to Terrence Williams on Josh, but usually he's just going to go on Breeland. So do you blame Josh Norman? Because I must admit, I do, for not trying. You know, you got a better shot with Josh. At least he can get in Dez's head a little better than Breeland can.
You know, a lot of times if you look at Coach Belichick, he plays matchup. If it's a big guy, he'll let the big physical corner take him, and he'll let the small speedy receivers. He'll let Malcolm Butler take them. There are very few teams that have secondary like the Broncos. You have Chris Harris and Talib. They don't flip flop. You have Jacksonville. They have Boyer and they have Ramsey. They don't flip flop. But if you look at a team like Arizona, Patrick Peterson, he's shadowing the best receiver on the opposing team. You would think you paying him that kind of money, you would like to let him see him earn some of those frequent flyer miles by traveling. But that's not what they do.
I was happy that Breeland was on Dez on 2 of the key plays in the game, which brings me to my Dallas Cowboy quarterback, who has been under fire from many people around the NFL, including the Hall of Famers sitting nearby me right now. This is just me, and this is where we depart on your take on the game last night. I thought Dak Prescott was really good last night. I get it, it's only 11 completions out of 22, but I can go back, and we don't have time to do it chapter and verse. I can show you that every one of those 11, I'll give you 9 of the 11, weren't just good, they were huge in the game. When he needed to complete a ball that either changed or saved the game, he completed a ball. And they drove the ball 3 long times for touchdowns, which is good old days Cowboy football. And he would get some help from Alfred Morris. But I got to tell you, there were 2 third downs on each of the drives, 2 third downs that were crucial. He got one with his legs on the first one,
Right.
that he converted by himself. He also converted a third down mid-second quarter, and they ran what I thought was the stupidest play they've run all year. They had him running not the zone read, they had him running the college pitch option, right?
Yeah.
The old, it's sort of the variation of the wishbone,
Yep.
where you just go take on it's the Jamel Holloway Memorial pitch, right? Where you just go take on the defensive end. You don't block the defensive end. You just say, hey, come and get me.
Right.
And you can come and get him.
Right.
And it is fair game.
Yes.
And at the last second, he's going to left-handed pitch it.
Right.
I think it was to Rod Smith on that play. It was a third and short.
Right.
He got the first down barely. And Dak took it right in the kisser.
Right.
Unfortunately, Dak's right hand got caught up under the helmet, and it got smashed.
Yes.
So you got to give my man some credit.
Oh, he's tough.
Because it looked broken to me because it swelled up so bad. They said the x-ray was negative.
Yeah,
I hope we don't have
just a big
fallout today. I hope we don't hear that, we found a little crack.
Yeah. But the thing is, Skip, and you have to give Dak credit for this, when you throw the ball so few of times, you only have 11 completions, you can't turn it over because that's not enough to overcome it. Now, if you throw the ball 30, 40 times, you understand that there's a risk of something bad happen. But when you throw the ball as fewer times as they threw it, he had 11 completions. The one thing you can't have happen is to turn the football over.
And he turned it over 0.
And that's Skip, that's their recipe. And Zeke, when they can run the football, because they built their team, because if you notice, play action guys were wide open. Because when you can run it, and I thought they would sell out to stop the run. Because especially what happened to them last time they were in D.C. when it was raining, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get off the field. And it goes back to the same thing. I don't fault the Cowboys. Let's see if you can stop the run. You couldn't stop it last time. Let's see if you can stop it this time. But Washington had no answer for their run. And now you fake the ball into the line. Guys are going to be wide open because you get guys cheating. I'm looking at Washington. They didn't have 12 guys on the field. They had 13. How do you have 13 guys on the field?
In all my many years covering this game, I've never seen 13 men on the field. And I wish the ref had called 13 men on the field.
They got
instead of 12. He said there were 12. But
you want to get the actual call.
Yeah.
And that's, you can't have that. I mean, they're trying to stop him. He's like, we can't stop you with levels. We're going to try 13. Maybe if you'd had 12, they could have got by with 12. They're like, 13? I'm going to give the Cowboys credit, Skip, because I criticize them for them to run the ball with so much at stake. They know if they lost this game, it's over. There's no more wild card hope. They're not catching the Eagles. Eagles are not going to fall apart and lose their next 5 ball games. We know that. But with that being said, give them credit. Alfred Morris ran the football. The offensive line took the game over. And because the defense played so few snaps, they were fresh. They were hungry. They knew Washington couldn't run the football. So we ain't even worried about Pete Ryan. We're going to get you, Kirk.
He got dinged once. He's a handful.
Yeah,
Piron, but he got his. I thought he was going to be in concussion protocol, but he came back in. Okay, but you have to give my man Dak this. They converted 7 of 14 third downs. That'll win a game.
Yeah, 50%, absolutely.
They were 4 out of 5 in the red zone. That'll win a game.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins was not 4 out of 5. They didn't get in the red zone that much. And even though Dak's QBR was not great, and I'm a big QBR fan, for those who don't know, 0 to 100, he had a 57 last night, which is above average. I thought he played better than a 57 because he didn't have any turnovers, and he made so many crucial throws and plays. But Kirk Cousins had a 14 last night. So it was 57 to 14. And that brings me to Kirk Cousins, who is now 1-6 against my Dallas Cowboys. 1-6 is the man that you say they should give, what,
100 million guaranteed.
100 million guaranteed to
Somebody
for 5
is.
more years. And I am hoping, urging, pleading with the Washington Redskins to please give Kirk Cousins $100 million, because I've told you many times before, I want to see him twice more each of the next 5 years, because I love it when my Cowboys play Kirk Cousins.
Well, the thing is, Skip, if you have, and you mentioned that Dak had a 57 QBR, the lower your QBR is, you can't have turnovers. Now, if he had a 57 QBR and he turned the football over,
it would crush it.
Right.
No, he would have been down in the 20s.
This is a different outcome. Or not say he turned over if they'd had a fumble or they had a kickoff return or punt return for a fumble. Now that changes the dynamic of the entirety of the game. For the simple fact is that you're giving them short fields. And that's what the Cowboys worked with some last night. So if you're going to have a 57 QBR and you're not going to turn it over and you're going to get almost 200 yards rushing and you're at home, you're probably going to win the game. 4 turnovers, Skip. You're not going on the road and winning a game in which you turn the football over 4 times and you give up a special teams touchdown. That's not going to happen.
Did you lose any faith, your enormous faith that you have in Kirk Cousins last night, who's now 1-6 against the Dallas Cowboys?
No, I have not. Given what he's working with, I mean, very few guys can lose what he's lost. I mean, his top 2 receivers are out. Again, his offensive line is banged up, and it puts a lot of pressure because you know that in order for you to win, you have to play well. And he didn't play well. Like I said, he didn't play as well as he had leading up to this game.
Jamison Crowder is really good. Josh Doctson is really good, and he went up and snatched one just like Dez did in the end zone.
But if you remember, Crowder also had 5 drops against Dallas, in Washington. So we see the drops. Can he make plays? Yes, Skip, he can make plays.
How about the one where Kirk Cousins rolled out to his left and just closed his eyes and said, I think I'll throw it into those 15 guys over there and hope Jamison Crowder comes back and catches it. And he did.
He did.
And it was like a 35-yard play.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, right now it's, make big plays, drop. Make big plays, drop, leads to an interception. And the offensive line, you're not going to keep getting winning games with backups to backups and they're having to play. This league is too talented, and the Cowboys defense, to their credit, you take advantage of when they got second-tier players or third-tier players in there. You take advantage of them, and that's what DeMarcus Lawrence did. That's what David Irvin did. That's
what Taco Charlton did. How about Taco Charlton? You're always ripping me for where's Taco. Would you like a taco after this is over?
Skip.
I'm going to buy him a taco.
With 12 weeks in the season, he got 2 sacks.
That was a big one last night, huh?
Off a guy you could have got a sack against.
You sat back and said,
you could have got a sack against the guy.
There he is. He's just a baby, huh?
Skip.
I see flashes. I say he's going to be a big-time pass rusher.
No, that was shot that LeBron hit last night that you saw that flash.
Oh, really? I didn't see it. I can't wait to talk about LeBron. We're going to get to him in just a few minutes. I'm going to say this one more time about Kirk Cousins, whom I sometimes call Kurt Cousins, as his general manager referred to him in a video posted on the team's website. Bruce Allen actually disrespected his quote-unquote franchise quarterback by referring to him constantly as Kurt Cousins. As I speak curtly about Kirk Cousins, he makes lots of throws. He's obviously a talented young man. Playing 7-on-7, he can look really good. He can look like a top 5 thrower of the football. Mike Shanahan, your former coach, loved him and pushed to draft him that year.
Yes.
After they took RG3, sort of against Mike's wishes. He bought into it, but he wanted Kirk Cousins.
He did.
So he still believes. I don't believe, because all I see is he makes lots of throws, but he doesn't make the plays that win enough football games. And last night I can show you key play after play where he just didn't make the play. So now Dak Prescott, who doesn't put up the flamboyant, spectacular, awe-inspiring numbers that Kirk Cousins does, he just makes plays, key plays, 2 big third down conversions on each of the 3 drives for touchdowns, including third downs to Dez that just saved the day or made the night.
Correct.
And Kirk Cousins didn't get in the red zone enough. They're turning the ball over. He was 1 out of 2 in the red zone, but Dak got in the red zone and went 4 out of 5 in the red zone. And you know what happened last Thanksgiving? Kirk Cousins got in the red zone 5 times, converted 2. Dak got in the red zone 4 times, converted 4. So now my guy is 4-0 over the last 2 years against your guy.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
4 times it happens?
Yeah, it happens.
Wow, that's interesting.
And
just an aberration. Shot in the dark.
My guy in Philly gonna be 3-1.
So now we have to change the subject because I think we were talking about Dak versus his arch rival, the Washington Redskins.
As soon as Kirk is able to get a running game to help him like Dak has, he'll be okay.
Well, as soon as Dak has his complementary parts back, I just wish just for the sake of it, just for our sake. I wish that the Eagles could stumble a little bit.
No.
Well, I do. I wish that all of a sudden, somehow, some way, it could come down to the last game of the year in Philadelphia with Dak at full strength versus Carson Wentz at full strength, as you call him, Wentz in a lifetime, Wentzylvania, or Walk It to Him Wentz.
Walk It to Him Wentz.
Okay, we got all the nicknames going.
Yep.
You have switched bandwagons. You are now driving the Philadelphia Eagles bandwagon after you picked the Giants to win the division, but we've forgotten about that, so we're good to go.
I didn't expect
we go
them to bench
onward
Eli.
and upward. So
Yeah,
that
once they
did
bench
it.
Eli, I was off. I'm
You're
done.
off the
I'm
bandwagon
out.
at 2-9. Okay, I got it. So, by the way, my Cowboys now go to the Giants,
Yep.
so we'll see how that works.
Yeah,
out.
with Geno. Now, they expect to win with Geno.
By then, it might be, it might be Davis Webb by then. I don't know.
It might be Dave Brown. They might
It
call
might be-
Phil Simms back.
They might call Phil Simms back. It could be Eli back in the lineup by then. Who knows? But I like my Cowboys' chances going forward because I still love my quarterback. And remember, Sean Lee he could come back. Jerry Jones hinted last night that he thought Sean Lee could be ready to go against the Giants. Then it's the Raiders. Then it's Seattle. Then it's at Philadelphia.
It's over.
It's over for who?
Your team.
I don't think it's over.
You're not making the playoffs.
We're not. Are we mathematically eliminated?
No.
I know it's a little bit of a long shot, but I loved what I saw. And remember, all you have to do is get through the Giants, and then you got to get through the Raiders, but they seem to be
The Raiders,
hit and miss.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. And then guess who comes back? That Ezekiel who guy? He
Well,
would come back.
Skip,
Interesting.
I thought you would be 2-4, and with Zeke absence. I didn't expect you to win this game. I thought you would beat the Giants, and I thought you would beat the Raiders. But you guys might be 500, so you might be treading water by the time. But just when you least expect it, bloop, bloop,
Bloop.
the boat starts taking
Are you
on water.
You predicting that?
Yeah.
I'm predicting that my team will win its last four. Will that get them in?
No, you're not winning your last four.
They're going to win their last four.
No.
How can they not win their last four? You saw that last night. That was an explosion. That was a rebirth of my Dallas Cowboys.
Well, nobody. I don't believe any of the teams you play will be as injured as the Washington team was. Now Seattle has their injuries. You never know what.
The Raiders are mentally injured.
Yeah.
So we got that going
Well,
for us.
Crabtree's not going to get in the fight with nobody in your defense.
You already picked Wentz in a lifetime to win at Seattle, and now Seattle's going to end up having to come to Jerry World. So I kind of like my chances in that game.
But that's 2 weeks away.
And then obviously your guys will have already. The Super Bowl parade will be thrown before Dallas even goes in for the last regular season game.
No, the MVP parade.
The MVP? Okay,
MVP
well,
parade,
that's fine. Celebrate that. So Dallas will go into Philadelphia with Philly playing nobody the way Dallas played nobody in the final regular season game last year at Philly, right? When they mailed it in, which cost Dak Prescott the QBR championship of the whole league because that allowed your guy Matt Ryan, that was last year's bandwagon, but Matt Ryan and Tom Brady to eke up ahead of Dak.
Would you have preferred that Dak win the QBR title or win a playoff game?
I would have taken the playoff game, and he certainly played well enough, had a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers did for a third time in his career. You believe in that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So
he's 2 and now he's 1-2 against Aaron Rodgers.
1-2, but he's played well enough to win all 3 games. So in that game, the guy who's Dak and Dunk against Aaron Rodgers at Jerry World threw for 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns and brought them back from 21-3 down to 31 all with a fairly quiet game from that Zeke guy.
What about when he was up 21-6?
Okay, what about
I need me a sign that says
what?
My restaurant.
Oh, you got.
I
is it
serve hot
still
dubs.
open
Yeah, I got the light on.
I thought we were kind of off today. So
I
it's
got
open
the
today?
light on. Hot dubs. Hot dubs in there.
Hot dubs?
Yep.
Well, my quarterback should have had a dub in that game.
No, he shouldn't have.
Except for the 2 luckiest field goals in the history of playoff field goal kicking by Mason Crosby, who missed one at Pittsburgh the other night. You just say, what happened? I don't know. It's like it was alien abduction of his soul because he suddenly went into the twilight zone, and he makes one from 56 yards where he kind of mishit it, and it fades to the left almost like a golf slice and barely made it over the crossbar, Mason Crossbar. And then to win the game, he duck hooks it. If you play golf, you know duck hook, and it suddenly, inexplicably straightens out and makes it just inside the left upright to win the game. I don't know. I can't beat that. That's like God said, let there be Mason Crossbar. I can't beat that.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, you should feel good. Washington's beat up in the offensive line.
I
had
feel
no
great,
running
but they needed this. So they feel back on track. And you know who really feels back? Number 88. And I got to do this because he deserves it. This is the first time I have done this in months.
Yeah.
The first time I've done this the whole year because he has been, to your point, a broken down shell of himself.
Yes.
And last night on adrenaline, guts, pride, that's what, when I picked the game yesterday, I said, my team's just going to win on cliches. Well, whatever those cliches are, it's your arch rival. You just finally rise up and say, we are sick and tired of playing the way we have, and we're not going to play this way against this team because we hate these people, and they've hated them for historically years and years. And what did I remind you of? I know it's way before your time, but miracles have happened when the Cowboys played the Redskins, all the way back to that Thanksgiving Day. I know it's way before most people's time, 1975. This kid named Clint Longley from Abilene Christian comes in place of Roger Staubach and throws a late touchdown pass to Drew Pearson to shock the Washington Redskins. And you can say this is the equivalent of that as an upset. But my team went from can't score to 38 points. You don't think they feel better? You don't think number 88 at least feels a little better about himself today?
Yeah, he should feel good. He made big-time plays. He got pass interference calls, so that always helps your confidence. But in his mind, he always felt he can do these plays. He just feels he doesn't get enough opportunities to do it. I think he gets plenty of opportunities. It's just hard for him to cash in for the simple fact that because he's not a technician of the route tree, the quarterback has to throw a perfect pass, and he has to make it. I mean, think about it, Skip. He still, on the touchdown catch, he had to jump over Breland.
He did.
To make the catch.
I agree.
So, and this
was the ball where it should have been? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you against the Chargers? That could have been a competitive game because Dak threw it up in the end zone over Casey Hayward and hit Dez, I'm sorry, right in the hands.
Basically the same play.
Couldn't snatch it.
Nope.
Couldn't snatch it. I don't know. Is Casey Hayward way better than Breland? Yeah, he's way better.
Yeah.
But what's wrong? Dez had lost confidence. He'd sort of lost his way. And yet last night on just pure anger, like he just played angry, he snatches a touchdown pass that did, I got to point this out as a longtime Cowboy fan, that gave him the lead all time as the touchdown catches for Dallas Cowboys. That beat Bullet Bob Hayes. You remember Bob Hayes, right?
I do.
Who revolutionized the game as a deep threat, as an Olympic sprinter.
He made teams go to zone coverage.
He did.
Before then, everybody played man, but the 100-meter Olympic champ, you not playing man coverage on him.
Nope, you're not. So now Dez Bryant has eclipsed the 100-meter Olympic champ who revolutionized the game for touchdown passes in Cowboy history, and maybe that will make him feel a little better. Yeah. Do I think he can outrun anybody? I do not.
No.
Do I think he can uncover even on his in cuts? I really don't. But did he reestablish a little confidence, maybe a little rapport with Dak that he might not have had?
Right.
Yeah. And little Terrence Williams, I don't love him, but do you remember that 1 3rd down play in the clinching drive?
Yep.
Dak comes back to him on Josh Norman and threw a flat-out clutch dart to him.
Right.
And he will make those catches occasionally. Now, what have I argued for? I don't know why they don't play Bryce Butler more. He came into the game averaging 21 yards a catch. They threw him one ball last night, and it was high and outside and out of bounds because he was completely covered.
Right.
I don't get it. But the problem is he plays Dez's position.
Correct.
Dez is Jerry's favorite. Dez makes, I forget, you know how much it is.
Million.
Yeah. And he
14
million. What was it? 50 guaranteed. Yeah. So you were so committed to him, you just got to go back to the dry well. And it's been a dry well, or as Jerry would say back in the oil fields, a dry hole.
Right.
And yet last night, Dez came up gushers.
That was Dez's best game of the season. Now, he didn't have a whole lot of catches, but he had the touchdown. He drew 2 pass interference. But if you look at the way he ran, I mean, that was a great route because the thing is that Breland was playing him for the end cut.
Yep,
and Dez ran the sluggo route, which is the slant and go, gave him a great move. And he normally runs slants. He normally runs over routes, and Breland was playing for it. He got a chance to get up on top of him. Dak put the ball up. Dez made a great catch.
Touchdown.
I feel very comfortable saying this was Dak's best game. As far as running the route, as far as running routes, and as far as catching the football.
So, bottom line to what you saw last night, how afraid are you of my Dallas Cowboys now?
I'm not afraid.
None?
No. No.
Lie.
No.
It's a lie.
No.
It's okay.
I mean,
it's okay. You can lie
now
on
if they
national
had
television.
Wentz, I'll be shivering. But they don't have him.
Oh, they don't have
They don't
Wentz?
have him. No.
Well, I hope Wentz has Wentz on Sunday night because I need Wentz in a lifetime to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Thank you very much. And I'm picking it 30-14. You say it's going to be close. You pick most of your scores close because you don't have the courage of your convictions the way I do, but that's okay.
But, you know, Seattle is at home.
Yeah.
They are a prideful unit.
They are.
They have a guy in Defensive Player of the Year contention in Bobby Wagner. Bennett can still get after the quarterback.
No
Sheldon
Richard
Richardson.
Sherman, no Cam, no Averill.
But they
No.
pride themselves. I mean, it's just like when the Ravens, when Ray Lewis was gone and Ed Reed gone, they still pride themselves on playing tough, physical, hard-nosed football on that side of the ball. Seattle is that exact same way.
I am driving the Wentz bandwagon for one night only on Sunday night. Thank you very much.
No, we don't want you on the bandwagon.
Well, I'm there.
No,
I'm driving.
No.